Aaron, our usual producer, I think he's going to try to figure that one out. Gavin's on it. Gavin's more than capable. So we'll get going on YouTube right away here. The chat here on Facebook, pretty good too. Well, you guys doing your thing. Colton says, can we talk about how good that Lafferty-Kulak scrap was? 100%. I mean, and Brett Kulak, he fights, and then the Oilers score 3 goals, I think, right after that. Probably got the boys going. I did not know that Kulak could hold his own like that.
Yeah, that was just a solid, good scrap, and we haven't really seen kind of like a consistent tilt like that, I guess, all season. And, interesting enough, you look back at January, the Oilers have had a bunch of fights, and I think Lafferty he had a little bit of a bloody face there, so it was just kind of really random, but honestly just added on top of what was a great Saturday night victory for the Oilers. You had everything. You had the E-bug, you had a fight, you had goals, you had the McLeod goal. Like, it was just everything, and I like to see more. I like to see fighting in hockey. Is that a bad thing to say? I don't know. Some people say it should be out of the game. I like to see a scrap here and there.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I tweeted it out during this stretch of their better play. We're starting to see, the team fight a little bit more. I don't know if there's a little more togetherness or what it is, guys willing to step up for. Maybe it's a coincidence, but I think, that they're starting to become a way more rounded hockey team. And part of it is being that physical presence. I'm with you. I'm totally okay with fighting in a situation where that, like, maybe more people are looking at Kulak to drop the gloves now.
Maybe, but at the same time, you don't want him getting inside the box too much, right? So from time to time, it's okay, but I'm not surprised. Kulak, what is he from? Stony playing? I'm not surprised he can drop the minutes. Honestly, he's a good old Alberta boy, as they say.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. One thing I want to throw out there. I mean, Zach Hyman this year. I mean, obviously he's been really good. 26 goals now on the season. But did you see during the second period there, they panned to him on the bench and he was sitting beside Ryan McLeod and he was just kind of giving him some pointers? Those are the things. Yeah, I mean, those are the things I love to see. It's not necessarily all on the ice, but the things that Zach Hyman can relay on to Ryan McLeod, a guy who, probably could have a similar skill set, maybe a little bit faster, 100%. But if he can, add those little things to his game, it's going to go a long way. So I love seeing that kind of stuff on the bench.
I think Ryan McLeod, the area where he kind of can improve, and this is kind of something you gradually improve on, is just kind of his physical presence. He's not the strongest or biggest guy, but neither is Zach Hyman. But then again, Zach Hyman's like 29, so he's still got some time to build some muscle. So I think that's the only comment I'd say about McLeod is just build a little bit more muscle because he's got the speed, he's got some nifty hands, and just give it a couple. Once he gets more experience, he'll be a solid addition or a solid player for this lineup. I like him in our bottom 6, and I think he can sometimes rotate through the top 6. But yeah, I would say is, McLeod, get a little bit more muscle.
Yeah, 23 years old, right? Yeah. I mean, still very, very young.
I'm 26. I have no muscle, so.
Yeah. Hey, if we were paid to do that, I contend that you and I would be a lot more muscular, if we were getting paid to do so. Yes. Tori on Facebook says Hyman was a stellar ad, and we've had him for a while, 100%. I mean, we know he's been around. Greatest free agent acquisition in Oilers history?
Probably. It's tough to say. You'd have to look back at some previous signings, but he's definitely top 3 right now. And 60 points by this point of the year is incredible. Like Colton said, best-selling children's book author. He's also the CEO of an esports company, but he doesn't really talk about too much. But Zach Hyman, I hope he can finish the year with like 85, 90 points. Like him and Nugent Hopkins are having career years, and you love to see it. And this is the year for the Oilers to probably, go all in, as we say. Like, everyone's producing career highs.
Yeah, 100%. Getting it from the bottom 6. And hey, I'll take it a step further. I'll say it. He is the greatest free agent acquisition in the Oilers history. I mean, a lot of the guys that they brought in were trades, drafts, and there's not the biggest list. So if anybody wants to challenge me, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, bring it on. I'm putting him above Milan Lucic.
Oh, easily. So if you look at the past 10 years, easily the best free agent signing. And then you kind of go further back. I don't really know. Maybe someone around that 2006 era, right? But no name really comes to mind for me.
Julian says, better of a deep playoff run or it's all for nothing. Julian, yes, but enjoy tonight. Enjoy tonight.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of time to worry about that.
The one thing I would say is, like, let's just kind of focus on the right now, focus on this moment. Like, as much as it's nice to think about, like, how far we can go in the playoffs, let's worry about that when we get to May, April. Season ends April 12th. So, let's just enjoy what we've got going on right now. The Oilers have a bit of a break. I think it's fun to fantasize how deep this team can go, but there's still some parts I need some work. But yeah, it's I'm just gonna enjoy the moment because we just lost to Columbus and now we beat Chicago. It's easy to kind of emotions flip so easily here, I think.
100%. I'll tell you, we did our show on Wednesday and it was pretty dark. There's a lot of people upset, and Zach and I and Aaron were like, hey guys, like just throwing it out there. They had one, 6th in a row going into this game. They still picked up a point. So now we're looking at it. 7 of their last 8 consecutive games, 8 now with at least 1 point. Like they're playing good hockey. It was a bad game, we know.
Yeah,
they lost in overtime, but I still think, the confidence is high here.
And they made it up tonight by beating Chicago 7-3. There, I think Campbell could have done a little better. I think on the first or second goal. I don't really know about the third goal, maybe Nurse, but I don't want to focus too much on the negatives because you got the 2 points, right? Like. It's the NHL. I think the goal scorer rate in the NHL has kind of gone up a bit in general. So it's like I'm not surprised if we're letting in 2 to 3 goals. But honestly, credit to Jack Campbell as well. He honestly came into January, had a really good month. We look at Connor McDavid, we look at Zach Hyman. Props to Jack Campbell for really kind of turning his season around, and hopefully he can carry some of this momentum going into February. The Oilers don't play until February 7th against Detroit. Hopefully Stuart Skinner's feeling better by then because hopefully we'll see him at the All-Star game. But I'm liking what we're seeing on Jack Campbell.
Yeah, you know what? The power play goal, Jonathan Taves gets inside position on Vinny Desharnais. That's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Desharnais still played, 5 games? Jonathan Taves, pretty good future Hall of Famer. Knows what he's doing. So, I'll give them the pass on that one. And then I'll even say that's the third goal. What a play by Max Domi. That pass to Taylor Radish. Phenomenal, and it was a beautiful finish. Yeah. If Campbell makes a save, it's a bonus, but those are good players. They're going to make their plays. Now, here's one for you, and I'll throw this out there to the people on the Facebook chat as well as on YouTube. If you could bring in one Chicago Blackhawk, and you have to factor in the cost because that is a factor, knowing that Patrick Kane's going to cost you a little bit more. Jonathan Taves would be a little bit less, and Max Domi would be even less than that. Is there a preference who you'd have from that team?
I would probably go with Jonathan Taves because we know he can be a good, defensive centerman. He's got leadership qualities. He's got the experience. And I think the best way, I think Tyler mentioned to me, it's like, how do you make Jonathan Taves work? Well, there's been a lot of talk about this year, the third-party broker. So that's where you bring in a third team to maybe retain some salary. That's probably the only way you can bring in Jonathan Taves. I would love to see him as an Edmonton Oiler. Duncan Keith would probably convince him a bit. Hey, man, it's not too bad playing here in Edmonton. Go on a deep playoff run, and it's a good time. So, Jonathan Taves, if he's your third-line center, I would not be mad.
Yeah, that'd be a really nice addition, especially come playoff time. We've got some more messages here. Colton on Facebook says, Kaner is back. My fantasy hockey season might be saved. Colton, we hope for you. Let's jump over to YouTube here. Hello, Dr. Gonzo, BN, Keaton Loomis, Clay, Rusty, the Reckless Optimist has to be in there. Hello to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. I think we're only at 8, and one of them's mine. So hit that like button. Let's boost those numbers right there. And we'll get to some of the comments coming in here. Those were not goals I would fault Campbell for, says QF Pro 21. Bobby Ringette says, all positives tonight. Felt like the bottom 6 is digging, and the 11-7 is working. Chris Hyman legally owns part of my heart. Zach Hyman, hard not to like him. Dr. Gonzo legally applied to adopt Zach Hyman. Good move.
I would love to see how that process works of adopting an adult human being, but okay.
It would be. Do you get part of his the money he makes from his gaming company or books? Because that'd be pretty cool. I asked you there, and I just said, which Blackhawk would you want on this team, factoring the cost of it. Keaton says Taves, Loomis says Domi, BN says Taves, Clay says Taves all the way, and Dr. Gonzo says no. I want him to adopt me. Yeah, I mean,
Oh wow,
maybe he would.
okay.
He seems like a good guy, that Zach
Yeah,
Hyman. Maybe
100%.
he would. Now, I don't know, Gavin, are you able to hop on here? If you're too busy, you don't have to. But if you want to hop on, you did give us a pretty good stat tonight. We're going to give you the option.
Oh,
There
there's
we are.
Gavin. He's
How's it
looking
going?
Gavin,
How's it going?
Oh, good. Your audio is
Gavin.
great. You're looking great. Oh my.
Thank
Welcome
you,
to
Waz. I
the-
appreciate it. I appreciate that coming from you, especially. So, yeah, no, it's it's a big win for the Oilers, and it's pretty funny. So I was looking through. The Oilers have actually brought in a first period lead now in 6 straight games, and they've won every single one of them. So, man, our hot starts are continuing for this Oilers team, and they pick up a big win against the Chicago Blackhawks today.
Yeah, I mean, and for how long? It was a long stretch there, right? Maybe a month, maybe 2, where the storyline always was these slow starts for the Edmonton Oilers. How do they correct it? I don't know what they did, but they have corrected it, so that's a really encouraging sign. And, not only getting that first goal when leading after the first period, but continuing it on. And I'll go back to the stretch they had playing Seattle and Vegas, and I think there was one more. Tampa, where they were holding on to those 1-goal leads in the third period. Like, they're really starting to figure things out 5-on-5 and on the penalty kills, getting better and closing out games. Really encouraging to see. So, yeah, that's a good stat you had there, Gavin, and happy to have you on here. For those who don't know, Gavin, the intern,
Gavin, the intern, yes, as of January. So happy to be here. So thanks.
Glad to have you on. Waz, when you look at that and that stat, it kind of surprised me, maybe more so just the consistency that the Oilers were finding in getting those early leads. I don't think there's any way you can actually answer this because there's no way of knowing, but what changed?
I think what changed is the Oilers kind of realized, wow, okay, our season is somewhat on the line now. But there was a point where they were slightly, I think, outside of a playoff spot, and they realized, okay, we really need to amp up our game or we're going to be out of the playoffs, and we don't want to be doing year-end press conferences in April 12th, right? We don't want to be doing that. We want to go on a nice playoff run. We don't want to embarrass ourselves. I think it's just kind of that mentality. It's like we got to wake up, right? So I think it's just one of those things. Also, the Oilers are known for having a nice second half resurgence. We saw that under Woodcroft last year. And Tori in our Facebook chat also mentioned, keep in mind, Connor goes supernova in the last part of the season. We're not really in the last part of the season yet either, and he's only got 90 points. So it's kind of just everybody stepping up their game and realizing there's a lot on the line if they miss the playoffs.
For sure. So, I just think, urgency is a big one right now, too. Obviously, that players-only meeting, I think, had a little bit something to do with it possibly as well. But, yeah, urgency now. Like you said, we're out of a playoff spot there for a while. So, the fact that we're going on this huge stretch now is massive for the Oilers.
Yeah, and we talked about it on Oilersnation After Dark back when that happened, and when you guys were down in Vegas, after they won there, maybe people thought they'd have a party, and we thought, no, it's business right now. They got to go back. Yeah. They got to find their stride, and they've continued to do so. Tori says, glad to see Gavin was have recovered from nation vacation. You guys are young. You guys don't need too much recovery time. I heard some of the senior members might have needed a few more days, but you guys bounced back quick.
I won't lie. Kind of, my recovery process in Vegas. My regret in Vegas is that I did not drink more wine.
You're also loading the slot machines there too, was on the last day.
The slot machines were a good time because our flight wasn't until 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Vegas time. And I'm like, I got money. I got time to waste. I'm going to hit the slots. I got really addicted. I won some dollars. I lost some dollars. The one highlight of Vegas I'll say is I remember I came back to my room after a late night. I walk into my hotel room, and our buddy Dangerous Wade is there doing a wine pairing with Taco Bell with another buddy on the Nation Vacation. I'm just wondering what is happening. There's Taco Bell. There's 5 different wines on the table. There's so Nation Vacations, you'll experience things.
Yeah, I mean that's what should be done. You should pair Taco Bell with wine. It's classic.
They go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Over here on the YouTube, Dr. Gonzo says, Gavin, jawline of Achilles intern, send me his diet. When the Oilers win the cup, Gavin will drop the routine, but not quite yet.
We have to have some kind of incentive going forward. So, and that's the number one right there.
Oh,
that's what it will be.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
What do you see, Waz?
If we're going to bring in Nation Vacation stories, Gavin has a story with Jay and his phone.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we're taking a cab down the Fremont, and then we all hop out of the cab, and then Jay's doing like the phone wallet keys check kind of thing. And he's like, I don't have my phone. So I see him start running after this cab. And I'm like, okay, I got to go whole Mission Impossible mode on this. I seriously ran 3 blocks, zoom, chased down the cab. He was going through, like, I swear, 5 green lights at a time. Finally got him. But hey, we got Jay's phone back. So that's all that matters.
And you know what? I'll say that's when the intern tag should come off. Okay, buddy,
Yes,
you got a
yes.
job. Yeah.
I would have done it for everybody. I would have done it for anybody.
We're gonna find a position for you. Lots of messages here. Tyson says, "Love to see Kana get one, but especially so quickly after we let one in our own net." Yeah, you could tell. I mean, there was the point there in the third where McDavid and Draisaitl were looking to feed Evander Kane. I mean, that's a guy they're going to count on.
You know,
yeah, exactly.
There's just so many storylines in this one hockey game. You know, Evander Kane's goal, Zach Hyman, you know, Matt Berlin. It's just so many different storylines. It's incredible. Like, yeah, you mentioned Kane's goal, and like we totally forgot that. It's his first goal since he came back.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a good one for the Oilers, like especially on the scoring front too, because in our last 2 games against Chicago, we scored 11 goals. So like I knew it was going to be a high-scoring affair for us going into this one.
100%. Larissa says finally a win in the retro jerseys. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you okay? Is that Draisaitl? Is that who you have there?
No, I've got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins actually.
Ryan Nugent. Okay, I like that. I like that. Good for them. 0-2-2 heading into this game. A lot of people thought it was a guaranteed loss night because of those jerseys, but they found a way to get it done in big fashion. No more. So, are you guys both on the side of bringing those back next year?
Yes, I like it for me. Like I like the McFarland logo design, so I'm all for it.
Yes and no, because I just know they won't bring it back, but I do love the jersey personally. Like I love the McFarland design. I wish they didn't add so much orange, especially in the middle. I think they could have went with like a bit of like a navy blue. But I love the jersey. I just love the whole aesthetic of this reverse retro set. It's just a shame that they did so poor and then like 2 overtime losses. You know, I bought this as a birthday present to myself, and it's just so sad to see how the results have gone. So. I love the jerseys.
Hope that they bring it back. You have the matching toque already, right?
I know, right? And I'm like, I'm not done. I'm going to buy the mug. I'm going to buy the whole set. And then, especially if they're going to go maybe on clearance, I don't mind that. So, yeah, I'm sad with the way things have gone with the reverse retros.
I will agree with you. And I'm a fair bit older than you guys. So, like, when the first jersey came out, the McFarland, I was like, I don't know, 10. Had to have it. Loved it. So when I saw they brought the orange in, I was a little hesitant. I will say they look better on the ice than they did the first picture I saw on a desk. But, they're not bad. They're not bad. They are growing on me slowly. We'll see what happens going forward. Tori says, always love the McFarland jersey. And Nathan on Facebook says the Oilers need to do what the Flames do and wear 4 jerseys during the season. It'd be cool if the NHL was just like, you know what, go Buck. Do whatever you want. If you want to wear 20 different jerseys like the old Oregon Ducks football team, go for it. Yeah, like have some fun with it.
Technically, we do have 4 jerseys if we include the reverse retros because we do have those Navy ones we wear, the away, the home, right? So we do technically have 4 jerseys. If anything, I would love if the Oilers just kept like this sort of blue and just added it onto another jersey. Like I just love this, like this navy blue. I just love it. It was awesome during like the mid 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, I've long said if you take the Bakersfield Condors navy blue and just put the Oilers logo on it, I think you have the perfect Oilers jersey. I mean, the royal blue is fantastic as well, but do that for a little while. The Condors nailed it. I don't know if the Oilers will do it because the Condors had it first, but I think that would be a good look. QF Pro says 82 different jerseys. Yeah, you got lots of possibilities out there, mixing some orange every once in a while, maybe a copper. Maybe you bring that like weird sideways oil guy back. That could be one for sure.
The oil driller.
Use the old shoulder patch on the kind of the copper and blue. Yeah, maybe that would be a good one. Gavin, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, no. What do you think is like our biggest concern going into the second half of the season here?
Biggest concern going to the second half of the season. I think it still might be defense slightly. It's really hard to pinpoint something right now because they've had so many good games aside from Columbus. So I will go with just having better team defense.
Yeah, and I mean that's something they have improved upon. I still think, just because they're on this winning streak, I still think Ken Holland does have to be making phone calls, and this might even be a better time to do so because now teams know he's not in a position where he's desperate, where he has to make these plays, and they try to get a little bit more out of him. So I still think you look to add, and whether that is a guy like Jonathan Taves or, more help, a physical player on the blue line, I think that would be good. I think, the Stanley Cup playoffs have shown us you need depth defensively. Although we're starting to see some of these younger Oilers players take a step in the right direction, I still don't think it hurts to make some phone calls and see. What do you think, Gavin?
Yeah, what do you guys think of a guy like Sam Lafferty, who we just played tonight? He's a center, obviously. He's a bit cheaper. He's making 1.1, and he's locked up again for next season.
I wouldn't mind that, especially after the tilt with Kulak. Like, he's showing that he's willing to drop the glove, stand up for his teammates, and that. I think his name's been mentioned a few times. But another name that was mentioned tonight was Elliot Friedman said the Oilers have interest in Nick Bukestad on the Arizona Coyotes. So I'm very interested to see if there'll be anything there. He might be a cheap addition. I haven't really seen the contract details, but Tori mentions also injury. Like, if Kyler Yamamoto is kind of a little injury prone here, that could be concerning. I know Garrett on Facebook also says goaltending and defense. I think goaltending so far has been pretty steady last maybe few month and a half. Defense, like I said, should probably be it. But yeah, go ahead, guys.
I mean, I personally don't see them making a move goaltending wise. I don't know what you do. I mean, you can hope that it continues to trend in the direction it has, and you'd be good with that. I don't see them making any more moves. I like Peter saying on the YouTube chat, play better at home. I mean, that's a big one. There's really no reason. Yeah, exactly. Take advantage of the home ice. Man, you got that last change. You'd like to see the coaching staff take advantage of that. And I don't know what the deal is. I mean, maybe playing on the road. I've heard all the arguments. You can play simpler and that sort of thing. But I think that's a really good one from Peter. Playing better at home would be crucial for these guys down the stretch here.
Yeah, and that's crazy too, because I know last year our home record was extremely good. So I don't know what changed going into this one.
Neither do I. It's strange. I know somebody was saying on Oilers Nation every day, it's like, oh, the Oilers play too cute at home or something. They try to be kind of too fancy and show up to the fans. So I don't really know. It's one of those things that's hard to pinpoint. I'm sure the team wants to fix that. They probably want to win more games at home, right? So I remember last year I went to a bunch of Oilers games during the second half of the year, and it was like every game I go to would be a win because they were so good at home at the time. And this year I've gone to a few games. It's been like, up and down results. So I think we're going to start to see more home wins here just because the team in general is starting to play better.
Yeah, the Oilers last season at home, 28-12-1. Really good.
Exactly.
Rogers was a tough place to play this, and then on the road, 21-15-5. So they were good everywhere, but really good at home. I mean, if they can get back to that way, obviously that's going to be big. Tori on Facebook says, I believe their injury. The play ramps up. Boys may get hurt. Need to be wary. So, yeah, I mean, I guess depth all around. Adding depth of positions would always be good for the Oilers to look at. But, yeah, I mean, right now, pretty encouraging to see what this team is doing. And for us to struggle and, how do you improve this team? Oh, man, just keep riding it out.
I think we're going to learn what this team needs to really improve upon is when they take on tougher opponents like the Avalanche, Rangers, and Bruins in February. Other than that, they don't have too tough of a competition going to February. February, when they come back 7th, they play Detroit, Philly, Ottawa, Montreal, Detroit again, and then they take on the Rangers. And then they got Philly again in February. So you got the best team in the league in the Boston Bruins in February, and that's going to be a huge measuring stick for this game. I'm very excited to see how that'll pan out. And, of course, you got the Colorado Avalanche, a team the Oilers who are looking to kind of replicate in a sense, right? So I'm really excited to see how February pans out for the Oilers.
Yeah, the end of February, like you're talking about, you've got Boston, Toronto, then back-to-back with Winnipeg, home and home. Yeah. Then you're in Buffalo, who will, I think, present a challenge. Boston, Toronto. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be kind of the measuring stick games, I think. And, obviously going out on the road for a couple of them towards the end. Actually, no, those are all at home for the most part. A couple games to start off with, but then you come home. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But until then, a lot of winnable games, a chance to kind of keep on growing. And I don't know, I mentioned it. Do you guys think that it changes at all the trade I don't know, urgency? Like if you're Ken Holland, or geez, does anything change for you? Are you trying to make a move, or do you think he's sitting back a little bit saying, let's just see how this plays out? Because we've seen it in the past where, he likes it. He trusts his plan. He kind of rides it out just to see what happened. Worked for him. So earlier this year, he didn't panic and make a move and obviously start to find their game. But do you think we see any moves before the deadline?
Before the deadline, go ahead, Was.
No, you go ahead. You
Yeah. Yeah. So, like you said, Connor, urgency is a big one for us. I obviously we are in win now mode, especially Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl on your team. You have to be in win now mode. A trade before the deadline, I don't think so. Obviously, I see Ken Holland working the phones like he already is, and like that's already been reported. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not really counting on it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ken waits until the deadline. Partly because the rest of the league has been quiet. We've only seen one trade so far, and that was with San Jose earlier this week. So I don't be surprised if Ken is also waiting until the deadline. He's going to kind of watch what the league's doing. He's always been kind of a patient guy. There probably will be moves with the deadline 100%, and there might be a move before. It just really depends on how the league is as a whole, I think. It's just there hasn't been even a lot of trades in general this year, right? So Ken Holland, he's the type of guy who really tries to trust in his team. He said in multiple press conferences where he looks to the development of players in his team. Like I think it was a press conference prior to the season starting. I can't remember, where he's like, it's vital that players like Broberg take a step forward, Bouchard, even Bourgault and Bakersfield. Watching players just take a step forward within your organization, it's kind of what Ken Holland values a little bit more. He wants the depth of the team as a whole to just improve as the season progresses.
Yeah, I mean, and it is good to see that, right? It took a little bit longer, but we are starting to see it pay off. I remember back, I think it was the 2017 team, when I think Peter Chiarelli, sorry for bringing him up, kind of had a similar thought process with Drake Caggiula and Matt Benning, and they didn't take those steps, and it resulted in missing the playoffs. I mean, now McDavid and Draisaitl obviously have gone even further in their development, but
have we lost Connor?
Quite possibly.
That's going to make things difficult. We got a little lag here.
We got a little lag on your end, I think.
We're good now.
We're good now.
We're good?
We're good. Yeah.
All right. My Wi-Fi is not very good, so I'm surprised we made it this far without having too much of a major issue. But yeah, just the LTIR, half the teams in the league dealing with that. Cap space becomes a problem. But I mean, I've said this during the day job. I love when teams are aggressive, and any sport. Like I just look at the San Francisco 49ers this year. They had great running backs. They go and they get Christian McCaffrey, and look what it does. Now they're the Final Four team in the league. So I'd love to see the aggressiveness from the teams that are, already playing well. And I think that it does make it easier for a new player to join the room when you're winning, and they bring them in and the moods are good. Like I think there is an element of that can play a factor as well. How about Dr. Gonzo? Does anyone think Yamo is missed? Obviously, something's going on there. They're not giving us too much information. Some people have speculated upper body and upper body. I mean, I think you guys know what the reports might be. Can't come back till February 12th. Where do you think he slots in when he does come back, Waz?
Probably. I would say maybe on the third line. Try to limit his minutes, especially if it is a concussion. I'm not too sure, but you kind of want to progress him in slowly. I would say that's not a fun injury or to handle, right? So it's tough to see, and I think Kyler Yamamoto being hurt maybe hinders the possibility of a Puljujarvi trade, right? Like him being injured alone and having health issues right now is going to cause problems when it comes to trading players, right? I think.
How about you, Gavin?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat there too. You just kind of want to ease him back in the lineup. And like, I know sometimes he can line up next to McDavid and skate alongside 97, but the way he's rolling right now, I'm not really touching McDavid's line. So yeah, I would say somewhere around the third line as well. Yeah,
I think that's probably a good way to do it. Warren Foegele, healthy scratch tonight. I was on the pregame show with Gazzola on TSN, and we both kind of thought it might be Puljujarvi. Warren Foegele gets the call to sit up in the press box. Did that surprise you guys? And then I guess second part of that, what do you think of JP tonight?
I think Puljujarvi's been fine recently. Like It's interesting. I tend to watch the Puljujarvi debate on Twitter unfold, and it's like one side of the fan base does not like him at all. They think he's completely useless. There's one side of the fan base who absolutely adores him. He thinks he does all the like small things right. I think it was Anthony Stewart in the first intermission on Sportsnet. He was saying how, yeah, Jesse Puljujarvi just does the little things that you don't really notice in the hockey game. And I don't mind him. I think he's a fine player, like especially if he's playing in the bottom six. I'm not going to overhype him. I'm not going to tear down the player. I think he's just been honestly just steady, right? I don't think we're ever going to expect Puljujarvi to be a point producer, and that's fine. I think we should have to accept that. I like the way I view Puljujarvi. He's been more of a disruptor at times, and he's got a nice little defensive side to his game. So you can tell he's been trying to put in a little bit more effort into his game and try to fight for minutes in this lineup, and it's been good to see. So I like Jesse Puljujarvi. But I also don't think he's like, the greatest defensive forward on earth, right? As some people may make him out to be. But yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it goes to show that Jay Woodcroft and the Edmonton Oilers are done with Puljujarvi because he played the least amount of minutes in the game today. He played just over 10 minutes.
Really?
He just played over 10 minutes of ice time. So I think Woodcroft is done with Jesse, and I do think he's on his way out, as like all of us do.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it down here, and I just want to bring up the Oilers' ice time there, because at the end of the second period, Draisaitl only played 12-16, McDavid was at 15, and Nurse was at 14. And I thought maybe, under the circumstances, you're up 5-1 at that point, maybe JP would be a guy to really get the heavy minutes. I think he was at 7 minutes played in the first 40. And then he only got 3 more minutes. Like, I know they were trying to get Kane going, and I think trying to get Barry the hat trick and, load those lines up a little bit. Clean cost, and I think was out there for a bit. Mm-hmm. But really surprising not to see Jesse Puljujarvi thrown out there every second shift. I thought they'd try to get him going. I know he had that great opportunity, but a little bit surprising, actually.
Or even just like to showcase some of the other teams at this point now, too, right? Like you said, we're up 5-1, so why not get him a little bit more ice time and kind of showcase him a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just looking here on NHL's website. They have him listed at 10 minutes, 54 seconds of time on ice. So that's the lowest among all Oilers players tonight. And that is weird. I don't know. He's such a polarizing player, yes, of Puljujarvi. Like, for an example, is like, it was the first period. I think it was the first 10 minutes. And he kind of like wasn't sure what to do with the puck. And he didn't really cause a turnover or anything. He kind of just skated it backwards. But then, I saw the reaction on Twitter. It's like a couple of people were saying, "Oh, great play by Puljujarvi. He, if he didn't do that, it would have been a goal easily." And then there's one side of the fan base is like, "Oh, idiot! What's he doing? He doesn't know what he's doing with the puck." So he's such a weird player. I don't know.
I mean, he brings it, right? He flies around out there. I mean, the one thing that's always just been a little bit frustrating for me is that where has he improved? I mean, go back to the developmental curve with Leon Draisaitl. I mean, after his first year, we thought, oh man, can he skate? Next year he comes back, he can skate. Then all of a sudden he's adding this element of finishing where he's putting the puck in from the most acute angle. He's just putting it in there. He's adding elements to his game. And with Jesse Puljujarvi, I mean, what area of the game has he improved upon? I think he's gotten stronger. I think he, as an athlete, he's gotten better, but his hockey skills to me have just kind of stayed the same. And that's the most discouraging thing to me. If I was him, I'd be like, Connor, Leon, can I come work out with you? Can I train with you guys? Like talking to skills coaches. That's probably the most disappointing thing for me, but I root for him because if he put it all together, I mean, it does seem like it's all there.
No, for sure. And just like, obviously I look at his point production too, and that's extremely frustrating for me. He has 10 points through his first 48 games this season. And for a former 4th overall pick, that's obviously not what you want, right? So that's extremely frustrating. And like you said, Connor, I just don't see where he's improved.
Yeah. And disappointing.
Yeah, 100%. It's like that for me throughout the season. His offensive production was frustrating. It's like he can't bury a goal, he can't get a couple assists. But like some people do mention, and I've noticed a few times, especially in the last month, is like he tends to do little small things, like especially on the forecheck and just disrupting the play a little bit and just giving the Oilers better, chances going forward. So it's little small things, but still, like, is that enough, right? Like you see all these guys on Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, look at the analytics that Puljujarvi does." I'm like, I don't know if I buy that sometimes.
Yeah, and it's not like we're not giving him the opportunity or have given the opportunity in the past too, right? So
Yeah, I mean, Gregor's brought it up a bunch of times. The majority of his minutes, or the most of his minutes played with, has been with McDavid. And unfortunately, people are never going to forget he was a 4th overall pick and
Yeah.
$3 million. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
things that people are
Never
always
took him
going
over
to hang
Matthew
on to.
Tkachuk too, so that also hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
Imagine him on the Oilers. That would have been
Oh
something.
man.
the way I view Puljujarvi, if he was scoring kind of like Derek Ryan was, we wouldn't have any issues with him. It's
Mhm.
it's just the goal scoring. That's the offense. So we want to see more production out of this guy, just because. I know you see right now this lineup. A lot of these players are scoring, like Klim Kostin, Ryan McLeod. The bottom 6 is starting to improve a bit, and yes, Puljujarvi has kind of been stagnant in a sense.
Liam in the YouTube chat, I believe you guys know Liam. He says, Gavin, great background. The mirrors are trippy. I kind of lost it here. Says, we'll never forget you, Bison King. Liam, I'd like to ask you how many bananas tonight? I think that it had to
I
be
hope
like
he's
a
still there. Yeah.
like a casual 1 banana night. There couldn't have been too much stress, but a casual 1 banana. Pro Pickle Juice Oiler fan. Great name. I'm not a fan myself. JP has been a floater for over a year, in my opinion. Yes, he's decent support, but he sure knows how to keep the puck cold with all the fanning he does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I just
I mean,
want to go ahead.
to me, it's just like, is it as simple as hiring a skills coach and just for an off season, man? Like, I want him to take 500 one-timers a day, or like do those things on ice drills that Connor McDavid does, and just improve upon those sort of things. Try to make it muscle memory where, he's just taking those shots, and we do see it. We do see him working after practice with Leon Draisaitl and working on those things, but just finding that commitment, that's the most frustrating thing for me.
Yeah, and like,
go ahead, Gavin.
no, and obviously for a player like that too, like it's definitely mentally exhausting too for Puljujarvi. Just seeing his stuff like in the media consistently, but at the same time, he's gotten the opportunity, he just hasn't succeeded with it. So
I think the media attention he's gotten has been a little bit too over exaggerated. Like it's not really deserved, I feel. But I like the comment that Peter King made on YouTube. He's like, "Careful, I dissed JP only Slay last week, and I got death threats." And you never want to get death threats, but yeah, it's interesting. Like you say one bad thing about Puljujarvi, and people go after you. It's like, look, I think the guy can be frustrating to watch. Like I mentioned earlier in the first period, I don't know what the hell he was doing with the puck. I like. His decision making was just so slow at the moment. It's like you don't want to see that with a team that's going to contend for a Stanley Cup, right? Like
100%. And I mean, the time you have in the regular season is one thing. In the playoffs, I mean, it's going to be good teams. There's going to be hard forechecking. It's going to be even less. So, yeah, that's definitely something. I do believe we got an answer from Liam. No bananas, a couple Cokes. Nice, man. Coke or Pepsi, I wonder. Is he a Coke guy? You guys see him around the office?
No,
I haven't seen him drink Coke or Pepsi, so just a lot of bananas. A lot of bananas.
And coffee. He likes his coffee.
I like that. I like that.
Lemon poppy seed twists that you can get from the bakery downstairs.
Yes.
Man, you guys having a bakery down there? I was only there for like a minute. I'm like, this building's amazing.
Yes, it's a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, definitely something I don't need. I used to work in a bakery, and I don't need to go back to that lifestyle. I just want to get to this one here from Loomis on Twitter. He says, "Yo, Con man, I know it's hard to keep up with all the chats, but I want to give a shout out to Desharnais for talking about his mental health during media scrums. I think it's important to highlight. And you know what? I think that's one of those things that comes with a guy who is 26 years old and has been through what he has. 4 years of college, worked his way up. I mean, if you hear him candidly one-on-one interviews, he's fantastic. He'll give you well thought out answers. We had him on the Jason Gregor show, and he kind of talked about I don't want to be the guy that when people look at me and say, oh, he's still in the league, he wants it to be, oh, he deserves to be here and he should continue to be here. The maturity's there, right? And I'm sure he looks at some of these guys on his team that have been in the league for 5 years and they're the same age. For him, it's just like, it's all there mentally. And, he had a couple great plays again tonight. He's one of those guys, when you hear him speak, you just have to root for him. Hey,
for sure. And since he stepped in the lineup, he's doing everything right. He's taking this opportunity and he's running with it. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah, you can't really fault him. He's got a lot of confidence behind him right now. I think earlier this week I put a clip on Oilers Nation's Instagram, And I think one of the reporters was asking him, "Do you feel like you belong in this league?" And he says, "Yeah, I feel like I belong 100%." And it was like, you love to see that confidence from him. You love to see his emergence this year. Like, I remember last year I was hearing about him. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Ryan Holt. He was on the pregame show last season with Tyler and Caroline. And Ryan Holt mentioned like how he has this like massive wingspan. He's like 6'7". I'm like hearing about this guy. I'm like, this guy's he's a giant. I want to see him in the NHL one day. So it's awesome to see like just him coming through the ranks, 26, 7th round pick in 2016. And he's been doing the right things, as Gavin said, like the way he's able to get the puck on net and create a chance. His stick is massive. Like it's frightening to see it. I'm loving Vinny Desharnais right now. I think all the Oilers fans are.
Okay, guys, here's one for you. Ryan Rashad, TSN, says Woodcroft said the idea to put Berlin in came from the players, McDavid specifically. They checked with Campbell as well. He said he was on board. He also says they meant no disrespect to the Hawks. So, I mean, one, that's awesome. Now, let's pretend we're Blackhawks fans. Are you actually offended by this? Is it disrespectful to put in E-Bug? I mean, if this is just me going to say, like, hey, don't go down 7-3. Keep it a close game, and that doesn't happen. What do you guys think?
Yeah, exactly. Don't put yourself in that situation then.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Like, I would not feel disrespected whatsoever. And like you said, don't go down 7-3 in the first place then.
I would say if I was a Blackhawks fan, I'd say we deserve it if we're playing that bad.
Yeah, I mean, and that organization's history, they deserve a little bad karma, I think.
Exactly.
You know
There's someone on. Go ahead, Wes.
They're probably going to get Connor Bedard. So what?
One of the comments to that tweet was, it was 100% disrespect. Good luck trading for Kane or Taves now. Oilers wouldn't make the goalie switch if it's a 1-goal game. Well, yeah, obviously they're not going to make the switch if it's a 1-goal game. There'd be no point. But honestly, I feel like if you're Jonathan Taves and the offer comes in and they're like, hey, we got a deal worked out for you to go play with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Hyman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, etc., Evander Kane, he's not going to say, well, they did put in their E-Bug against us, so I'm not going there. Like, come on.
Exactly.
And I bet Taves.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. Exactly.
I bet Taves would have let it happen in Chicago as well. Like he was, let's do it. If it was the opposite thing going on, he would have let it happen.
Yeah, and I feel like people might take a step back and say, yeah, that was a pretty cool moment for that kid, 25 years old. Obviously, NHL doesn't look like it was going to be in his path, and tonight it happened. I mean, it's awesome. I don't know if you guys can actually see that. This might just be awful, but that's him with the Golden Bears pads. Yeah. I love it. I think that's so cool.
Hey, at least they didn't lose to a Zamboni driver.
Exactly. Tough to top that one. All right, guys. Well, we've been going for a little bit of a while here. I'll ask you this. We're off until the 7th of February. So we got a little bit of time off with Oilersnation After Dark. I don't know. Maybe we might just show up here one night and talk Oilers for a little bit. But if you were one of the Oilers, you got all this time off, where would you be heading? Are you guys going back to Vegas or what?
I'm going to Cabo.
Cabo, okay.
The boys have mentioned Cabo a couple of times in the podcast. I'll just go to Cabo. I'll go somewhere nice.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Probably Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii. That's definitely on the bucket list. So
beautiful.
Definitely up there for me.
Well, I mean, it's not on the same time frame, but if you wanted to go to Toronto, you could do so with the Nation Vacation, March 10th to 12th. See the Oilers leave, stay at the Royal York Hotel, check out nationgear.ca, an experience powered by AME Travel, and that would be a nice trip. I mean, you guys been to Toronto before? You could see a Jays game.
Yes.
Not on this particular trip, but the Hockey Hall of Fame.
I have not, but I've heard Toronto FC games are good. I don't think the season will be back up by then, but if you're ever in Toronto, check out a TFC game. I've heard it's very fun.
Yeah, so I've been to Toronto a couple of times. I absolutely love the city, so it's definitely a must-see.
Go on the Nation Vacation, stay at the Royal York, go to a hockey game, sitting in a suite, I believe, and then scout places to go back in the summer, go to a soccer game, go to a baseball game. AMA Travel. Another one here just quickly, Cornerstone Insurance, shout out to them. You can get a quote now in just a few minutes at cornerstoneins.ca/nation and use discount code NATION for an exclusive rate. And since we're rattling all these off, how about Betway? Now, the Oilers are off for a while, but we got some NFL football coming up tomorrow. Gavin, I know you're a big NFL guy.
Yes.
Dallas
yes.
Cowboys. I'm sorry, as a Chargers fan.
Well, last week was a tough one. It was a tough one, but it is what it is. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm used to it. So just another year.
Hey, 31 fan bases are going to be mad. Waz, are you an NFL guy at all?
No, not really. I just pay attention to the halftime show, and that's about it.
Rihanna
Fair
this
enough.
year.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Who's your soccer team?
Manchester United.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I'm a Liverpool guy, so
Well.
I'll just end it right there.
Yeah.
How about you, Gavin? You got a soccer team?
I do not.
No?
Yeah, I'm just strictly hockey, football, and baseball. So
North America.
mix.
Nothing wrong with that. Michelle on Facebook says tonight was a great win. It really was. You know, we had a hard time when it came to the good, the bad, the oily, finding the bad. It was just everything going well. So those are the nights you love to have. And someone brought up, you know, if they don't go far in the playoffs, this doesn't matter. Well, enjoy it. Live in the moment for this one. It's good as our stats right there. Jack Campbell picks up his sixth straight win between the pipes. Great sign for the Oilers. He can enjoy some time off. I hear a bunch of them are going down to Mexico, actually. So they're going to go and get in that hot weather. I think Campbell might be doing some scouting for his upcoming wedding. That's what Tom Gazzola had mentioned on our pregame show on TSN. So the guys will be busy. Peter says, my prediction, Arizona gets Bedard, then signs Matthews when he's a UFA. I think a lot of Oilers fans would laugh at that. Like a lot of Canadian fans.
That'd be awesome.
Sergeant Battle 4, I'm late, but I made it. Big W. Yeah, Sergeant, thanks for joining us tonight. Dr. Gonzo, Chi-Town decided to win too many games lately to get the other Connor. Connor Halley greater than Connor Bedard. I wish. I really wish.
Here's a question to end off if we're ending. Will Derek Ryan surpass his career high in goals? 47 games played so far this year. He's got 7 goals. His career high is 15. Does Derek Ryan surpass his career goal total?
Coming off a big win today, I have good vibes, so I'm gonna say yes. Let's do it.
Man, I hate to bring the negativity, but I'm going to say no. Prove me wrong.
I was with you, Connor, but
if Derek Ryan gets 15, 17 goals, that'd be good.
If he does that, then I don't know. We'll do something to celebrate. We'll pop a bottle on the show to celebrate because that will be awesome. We're rooting for him. But I don't know. I guess I'll just be a little negative to wrap this show up tonight. Okay. Guys, thanks for doing this tonight. That was a lot of fun, and it sure makes it easier when the Oilers are winning hockey games.
Yeah, especially on a win like tonight. We'll take it.
100%. So as we go into the All-Star break, the Edmonton Oilers now sitting 4th in the Pacific. Who would have thought the Seattle Kraken in first, 63 points with a couple games in hand of the other teams that are right there. Vegas in second with 62, LA Kings 62, the Oilers 60. But the Oilers have 2 games in hand of the Kings and a game in hand of the Vegas Golden Knights. And in the wild card spot, it's going to be interesting. The Colorado Avalanche turning the corner there at 57, the Flames at 57, and then Nashville kind of lingering along there at 54 points. So it's going to be a fun rest of the season. I don't want to say second half, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and we will see what happens. Connor McDavid, I think, at 92 points now, just doing what only he can do. Okay, guys, we'll wrap it up here. Big thank you to Cornerstone Insurance, AMA Travel, and Betway. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy a little time off, and I'm going to talk to the bosses at Oilers Nation and see if they'll let us hop on maybe Wednesday or something, some random time, just to see how that goes. But thank you guys for tuning in so much tonight. If you're on Facebook, thank you. We see you. Twitter as well, and on YouTube. What do we say? Hit the like button if you haven't already, and if you're listening to this on podcast or Facebook or whatever, YouTube later on, make sure you like it, to download, subscribe. We got to boost the algorithm or whatever it is that your Chuck says. Keep doing that. And again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Thank you to you. And we'll talk to you guys later on here on Oilers Nation After Dark.
Thanks, guys.